The Roman Emperor Theodosius I was born on January 11, 347 CE. He ruled as Roman Emperor from 379 to 395. His reign marked a significant turning point in the religious, economic, and legal landscape of the Roman Empire, transitioning from a period of Christian persecution to the establishment of Christianity as the state religion. Theodosius issued several edicts that profoundly impacted religious practices within the empire. On February 27, 380 CE, he issued the Edict of Thessalonica, which effectively made Nicene Christianity the official state religion of the Roman Empire. This edict declared that only those who believed in the consubstantiality of God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit could be considered Catholic Christians, condemning other Christian creeds such as Arianism as heresies. Following this initial edict, Theodosius continued to strengthen his stance against non-Christian practices. In February 391 CE, he prohibited sacrifices and visits to pagan temples. Later that year, he issued another decree forbidding anyone from visiting sanctuaries, walking through temples, or raising their eyes to statues created by human hands. These edicts effectively outlawed pagan worship and practices throughout the empire. The shift from persecution to promotion of Christianity was dramatic. Less than a century earlier, under Emperor Diocletian, 284 to 305 CE, Christians faced severe persecution, with churches destroyed and their wealth confiscated. Theodosius's edicts reversed this situation, making Christianity not just tolerated but privileged, while other religions became subject to suppression. In terms of economic and monetary policies, Theodosius faced significant challenges. The Gothic War and subsequent Treaty of 382 CE had far-reaching consequences. While it provided Rome with peace, security, and recruits, it also established a permanent Gothic presence within Roman territory. This enlarged army consumed enormous amounts of money, leading Theodosius to implement stringent taxation policies. Theodosius showed even greater determination than his predecessors to increase tax revenue. He was determined that no one should own any property without having to pay tax for it. The laws passed to enforce this were so stringent that they led to widespread oppression. Additionally, Theodosius introduced a new gold denomination called the trimissus, equivalent to 1/3 of a solidus, with an average weight of 1.51 grams. The Theodosian Code, while not completed during Theodosius I's reign, was initiated by his grandson Theodosius II in 429 CE. This comprehensive legal compilation aimed to collect and organize all imperial legislation since the time of Constantine. The code served several purposes. It resolved doubts about which laws were considered general and applicable empire-wide. It harmonized laws between the western and eastern parts of the empire. It reduced the bulk of existing legislation. It eliminated forgeries and clarified which imperial laws were to prevail over corrupt or improvident concessions. The code was finally published in 438 CE and contained more than 2,700 constitutions divided into 16 books covering various aspects of Roman life and governance. Notably, the relegation of religious matters to Book 16 of the Code has been a subject of debate among scholars, with some seeing it as an indication of religion's central importance to the project. The impact of Theodosius's religious policies was far-reaching and sometimes violent. In Alexandria, these changes exacerbated existing tensions between different religious and ideological factions. The murder of Hypatia, a renowned philosopher and mathematician, in 415 CE during the reign of Theodosius II, exemplifies the strife that ensued. Hypatia, who taught Neoplatonist philosophy and was respected by both pagans and Christians, became entangled in the power struggle between Cyril, the Patriarch of Alexandria, and Orestes, the Roman governor. A mob of Christians, possibly led by a man named Peter, attacked Hypatia, dragged her through the streets, and brutally murdered her. This horrific event sent shockwaves throughout the empire and highlighted the dangerous tensions that had developed between different religious factions. The death of Hypatia symbolized the violent shift in power dynamics that Theodosius's edicts had set in motion. It represented not just a personal tragedy, but a broader conflict between the old philosophical traditions and the increasingly dominant and sometimes intolerant forms of Christianity. While it would be an oversimplification to say that Theodosius's edicts directly led to Rome's decline, they did contribute to several factors that weakened the empire over time. Social division. The forceful suppression of paganism and other Christian sects created tensions within Roman society, leading to conflicts between different religious factions. Loss of traditional institutions. The abolition of pagan practices meant the dismantling of many long-standing Roman institutions and traditions that had been integral to Roman identity and social cohesion. Brain drain. The persecution of non-Nicene Christians and pagans may have led to a loss of intellectual and administrative talent, as some educated elites were marginalized or chose to leave the empire. Military dependence. The Treaty of 382 CE with the Goths increased the empire's reliance on barbarian troops, which would later contribute to its instability. Internal threat. By allowing the Goths to settle within the empire while retaining their autonomy, Theodosius inadvertently created a state within a state, which would later prove disastrous. Economic strain. The enlarged army, partly due to the incorporation of Gothic troops, consumed enormous amounts of money, leading to stringent taxation policies and increased economic burden on the empire's citizens. Theodosius's edicts and policies thus had profound and lasting consequences. They not only changed the official religious stance of the Roman Empire, but also altered the social, economic, and cultural fabric of Roman society. The transition from a largely tolerant polytheistic system to a state-sponsored monotheistic religion led to increased religious conflicts, the suppression of pagan practices, and the gradual erosion of classical philosophical traditions. In the end, Theodosius I's reign was characterized by significant religious changes, stringent economic policies, and the initiation of a major legal codification project. By establishing Christianity as the state religion, outlawing other religious practices, implementing strict taxation, and setting the stage for the Theodosian Code, he profoundly shaped the future of the Roman Empire and European history. While these actions did not directly cause Rome's decline, they did set in motion or exacerbate several trends that contributed to the empire's long-term instability, particularly in the West. The full impact of these decisions would only become apparent in the decades and centuries following Theodosius's reign, influencing the further Christianization of Europe, the development of medieval legal systems, and the complex religious and ideological transitions of late antiquity.